put it in proper perspective what a true virtuous woman is, the true characteristics, so you can make no mistakes in what you are looking for. But first and foremost, I like to say that a virtuous woman is created for a king initially, you know. And I'm talking about the anointed of Ahiah, the son of David, the ruler, one who sits on the throne. A virtuous woman is not for everyone, every man of Yasharallah. That's why it says she's very rare, you know, because a virtuous woman was made for the king of Yasharallah, the anointed of Ahiah. So let's go through this Proverbs chapter 31 and put this in proper perspective, and let's reach out to those true virtuous women in the world. And if you fit the description, if you want to apply these things to yourself so you can fit the description and you can know exactly how to move and operate in the way and the order of a true virtuous woman, I pray this video helps with that. Okay, verse 1. The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. So the key thing in this is his mother taught him what a true virtuous woman is. His mother. So his mother is giving him this advice, which this is in correlation in the order of Ahiah. For it is the mother who teaches the children, for she is with them the majority of the time. If we take it back ancient and we deal with things according to customs, and we read through this book, we see that, you know, the woman is with the children and the woman teaches the children, you know. So this beautiful woman right here, his mother of Lemuel, she taught him what a true virtuous woman is, you know. So, you know, you can read verse 2. Then verse 3, a lot of people talk about give not your strength to women, nor your ways to those who destroy kings. And that's referring to women like Delilah or Jezebel, or even women like Job's wife or Lot's wife, you know, women who are not walking in the spirit or the order of Ahiah, and would rather you do things contrary unto Ahiah rather than just face all things when it comes to Ahiah. You know, take the good with the bad, you know, and question nothing, but just respect and honor all orders of Ahiah, all protocols, all doings, you know. You know, women who bring down kings don't think like that. They think very pride, you know, they think in pride, and they're very egotistical. So stay away from them type of women, you know. That's what his beautiful mother is applying right here. Okay, so we're going to drop down because this is not really the point of the video, but it's good to read. Always want to read this. For his mother's letting him know, like, you know, don't you know, drink that strong drink, you know, it's going to alter your judgment. You always want to have sound judgment to make a just, so you can be very just in any judgment that you're putting forth, you know, especially with the afflicted, the wounded ones, the remnant, the lame, the weak. You know what I'm saying? You always want to deal carefully with them, and strong drink will alter that, you know. So we're going to drop down to verse 10 so we can get right into the meat and the potatoes of what a true virtuous woman is. A worthy woman who can find, for her price is far above rubies. Why is that? The heart of her husband safely trusts in her. He can trust in her from his heart, you know. And he shall have no lack of gain, like she will not bring him down. And he will always increase. One of the signs and characteristics of a virtuous woman. She enters his life, no decrease always increasing, nor lacking, right? Then it says, she will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. Always be righteous before him. Always be loving before him. Always be caring before him. Always show much empathy before him. You know what I'm saying? Considerate before him. And never doing anything evil, anything outside of the beautifulness of a woman, the way that Ahaya has created a woman to be towards a husband. Never do any evil before him. And it says, she seeks wool and flax and works willingly with her hands. So she's a hard worker, right? See, a lot of these things right here, a lot of women, they carry some of these attributes, but not all. But we're going to let the word speak what makes a virtuous woman different from any other wife, you know? It's very beautiful. So she's a hard worker. Then in verse 14, she is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from far away. So you apply it to nowadays, she goes out shopping or she plants her garden she brings food in pretty much. You know what I'm saying? She rises. No, that's verse 15. We ain't gonna go there yet. Like, she is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from far away. She's very dependable, reliable. She always had those resources. You know what I'm saying? She's not complaining about cooking for the family, for her husband. She's not worrying about, like, she's a great asset. Oh my gosh. Verse 15. She rises also while it is yet night and gives food to her household and a portion to her maidens. Like she feeds all people. It don't matter if it's day. It don't matter if it's night. It don't matter if she's tired. It don't matter if she had to get up at work early in the morning. It don't matter. Her heart is so caring. She's so considerate. She's so compassionate. She has so much empathy. Verse 16. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. Look at that. Look at that, man. She's a gardener. She buys her own field. She plants her own food. And she feeds the people in her household from her own vineyard as well. You know. Verse 17. She girds her loins with strength and makes her arms strong. She is equipped with strength. That is her breastplate. That is her virtue. Like, she embodies the characteristics of a strong woman. Like, it's not a burden unto her to be strong, not just for herself, not just for her husband, but for all people, even her maids, her family, her city, her people, her king, her power, Ahaya. You know, like it says, like, she girds her loins, for that with strength and makes her arms strong. She do what's necessary. She think what's necessary. She feel what's necessary. She puts in her heart what's necessary to be strong, to carry them attributes, to have them intangibles, that's applied to her. Strength. It's not a burden. It's a luxury. It's a blessing. But verse 18, she perceives that her merchandise is good, nothing but the best, the finest. Her candle does not go out by night. She's always dependable. You know what I'm saying? And her candle does not go out by night means that law is always within her heart. That law of virtuous, the law of Ahaya is always in her heart, to do good, to do right, to not do wrong. to be a servant, to be of servitude for a hire. So she's bigger than just of her husband and being everything unto him, because her husband is a king, is the king of Yasharala. So his servitude is to his people and to his power a higher. So he carries these same ways and intangibles as well. So his wife also must, exhibit the same character. That's what makes her so rare. So her candle does not go out by night. She's always dependable. She's always in righteous mode. She's always thinking that way. Always upright. She puts her hands to the staff, and her hands hold the spindle. She's always creating. She's always making. She's always working. She's always providing. She's a provider as well. She puts her hand to the spindle. She's providing. What is she creating? What is she making? What is she spending? Like, what is she spending? Wool? Cotton? What is she doing? You know what I'm saying? What is she putting together? Garments? All sorts of things. You know? She's her own business. And she's humble. She stretches out her hand, verse 20, to the poor. She reaches forth her hands to the needy. She goes to the poor, to the needy, not to the proud and the arrogant. To the poor and the needy, the lame, the remnant, which is a description of the remnant today. The poor, the needy, the afflicted, the lame, the doubtful, the disfigured, the black sheep, the hopeless, the lesser one. But she stretches out her hand, meaning that she has to give to them. And what she don't have, she stretches it. She makes a way for them. She creates a way for them. She creates a way to give and do for them. Because she has it. She can. She's the wife of the king. And she has her own. She's her own boss. She's literally her own head queen in charge. HQIC. I like that. I'm going to start using that. HQIC, baby. And I'm the HKIC. Well, I is the HKIC. I'm the HPIC, head princess. Yeah. But verse 21, she is not afraid of the snow, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. Scarlet, that's a royal garment right there. And she's not afraid of the snow because she's reliable. She already has that covered. They don't have to want or need for things of coming seasons like the snow, the summer, spring. They have what's needed for that, for them type of drastic weather environments. She already took care of that. She's very what's the word's mistaking me right now? Responsible. Very responsible. Verse 22. She makes herself coverlets. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. She's royal, right? She's the wife of the king. Her husband is known in the gates because he's a king. When he sits among the elders of the land, because he's the king. She's the wife of the king, the anointed of Ahiah, the seed of David. This is why Lemuel, or Lemuel's mother, is talking to him, because he was a king. So this is what Lemuel's mother, is teaching him. What a virtuous woman is. So it's not like a man is teaching a man what a virtuous woman is. A woman is teaching a man what to look for if they in seek of a virtuous woman. And nowadays, there's really no virtuous women because the women aren't of virtue, nor the men, right? Because we're under the curses. So this is not a shadow or slap to you, but it's just the truth, the circumstances, the situation, the curses. So I'm here speaking and telling you and teaching you what a virtuous woman is. Just playing the role right now until the filth of the daughters of Zion is removed, like Ahia says. And he makes the branch of Zion a glory again, like he says in Isaiah. Then they'll be back in their stature, eating from their own bread, wearing their own apparel, the reproach taken away from them. Then these things can come back to mind and they can teach one another and they can walk in harmony and in unison on being virtuous. So the next following kings can have a virtuous woman. Verse 24. She makes linen garments and sells them and delivers girdles to the merchants. See that? She's a business. She's such a hardworking woman. She's so everything. She's incredible. She's impalpable. Did I use that word right? Because I got a song called Impalpable. I can feel it coming. I don't know if I used that word right. Oh man, it's impalpable. Yeah, I think impalpable means impossible. Yes. Just thinking about my song kind of helped me out right there. But yes, verse 25. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she shall rejoice at the time to come. Because she has her day, she has her time. After, like, everything she's doing is from the heart, from the spirit, walking in the way of Aya. She's not taking in the moment. She's not taking in the credit. She's not, like, taking, like, all of her servitude in. She's just doing what her heart is prone to do. You know what I'm saying? But it's going to hit her because she's draped in strength and dignity. Are her clothing. You hear that? Strength and dignity. We have a lot of strong women, but dignity is missing. And a lot of the dignity that they do have comes from the teachings of men of captivity, but not of the ancient ones of Yasharala and Ahia, or the prophets, or the council, the counselors, the elders. Not them men, or the divine one of Ahia, or the arm of Ahia who he works through. The seed of David, king, sits on the throne. The seed of Zadok, the high priest, Lawai, works in the temple. The prophets, the priests, the council of great men who also should be draped in strength and dignity. But she shall rejoice at the time to come, because all her efforts are not for naught. It's for something. It's not for nothing. It's for something. She shall be blessed. She shall be praised. She shall be exalted. She shall be loved. She shall be cared for. She shall be honored. She shall get whatever she wants. She shall have whatever she needs. She shall do whatever she pleases, because whatever she does is from a right place in the heart within. She's a true virtuous woman. Verse 26, she opens her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the Torah, or the law of kindness. See, there's a law of kindness. So within her mouth, she speaks kindness. And she opens her mouth only to speak with wisdom. She's not going off the order in the way of a higher. So her wisdom is not wisdom of self. It's wisdom of the true way of a higher. That's it. That's what makes one wise. If they're wise with the words that a higher has given them, not wise within their own self. She's not proclaiming to be no goddess. Her husband is not a god. She has no comedicism in her at all. She doesn't place herself above at all. She's not above the true deity, Ahaya. She is one with him, his ways, spirit, heart, protocols. And it's beautiful. That's why she loves her husband with the law of kindness. She shall be empowered. 27, verse 27. She looks well to the ways of her household. She looks to do nothing but right and righteous things for the household. Everything is done with a good intention. And does not eat the bread of idleness. So she don't, like, everything that she brings in is from hard work. She's a hard worker. Nowadays we have women complaining about hard work. Like they may see a man relaxing and criticize him and complain that they're working so hard. I get it. We under the curses and we in this captivity, and a lot of times it feels and seems unfair. So we're not talking about a time of now. We're talking about the true order and the way and the thoughts of a virtuous woman. She wouldn't even peek to the way that women think today. But I'm just making an example. So what she brings in, she don't mind working hard for it, or what's considered hard unto her from a higher, or whatever a higher has her do. She don't complain and look at it as a burden once again, because it's like she feels worthy and wants to feel worthy and work hard for it so she can feel worthy from a higher. Like, it's not just given unto her. And that's straight with strength. And that's straight with dignity. Verse 28. Her children rise up and call her Burak, blessed. Her husband also, and he praises her, exalts her. Yes, I will exalt my virtuous wife. I will praise her. And she will give me the love and the kindness that I want. Now, I'm always asked, what kind of woman do I want? A virtuous woman. Oh, okay, I'm virtuous. No, the virtuous woman that I'm describing here, that the book is describing. My mother said to me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, she said, son, the kind of woman that you describe and seek and want, I don't think she's here. I don't think she's out here. I don't think she exists. Some ways I felt like that too, mama. But she's here. She's out there. And she does exist. She's a virtuous woman. Perfectly crafted for me. And I will exalt her. Verse 29. Now this is the key. So to the women of Yasharallah, Israel, to the women from the four ends of the earth, the women that's in the land of Yasharallah today, from Damona to Mizpeh to Bereshit to Egypt. So women, hear this very good and carefully. To the women on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, wherever you are, I want you to hear this very carefully so you can understand that all of you are not virtuous women by the standard of what I broke down and what this is talking about. And remember, this is not from a man's perspective. This is from a woman's perspective for the mother of Lemuel, spoke this to her son. Verse 29. Many daughters have done virtuously. You have virtuous ways or did virtuous things. Now you have done these things, but the true virtuous woman right here, but you excel them all. You surpass them all. So all these women saying they're a virtuous woman, no. A virtuous woman is very rare. She's like a she's like a stone in a crown. There's very few stones in a crown. A crown ain't just full of stones. Like she is a diamond in the rough. You know how hard it is to find a diamond in the rough? She is oil in the middle of a desert. You know how hard it is to find that oil patch? And to hit that right line and that oil starts shooting up? And you know you paid now, right? So you know how hard it is to find a true virtuous woman? Most likely she will find you. And if you do find her and you speak to her, she will respond accordingly to a virtuous woman. In all of these ways, then you will have no doubts about it. So that's what verse 29 says. Many daughters have done virtuously, but you, virtuous woman, queen of Yasharallah, house of David, you excel them all. Then verse 30, charm is deceitful and beauty is vain. A lot of these women think they virtuous because they pretty. Or they think beauty comes with the package of being virtuous. That's just icing on the cake, if so. But charm is deceitful. You don't have to be charming. See, a lot of ways that come off as good characteristics or good qualities is really disguised by charm. They're just being very charming. Know how to articulate. You know, an elegant woman is not necessarily a virtuous woman. It's, you know what I mean? It's disguised like very well. It's because you're elegant don't mean you're virtuous. Virtuous comes with all of these things I talked about. No corners cut. But like it says, charm is deceitful and beauty is vain. But a virtuous woman who fears a higher shall be praised. And this what kings must do to their virtuous wife. Give her of the fruit of her hands. Give her everything. Because we just read what her hands have done, what they are girded to do, what they were born to do, what's in the heart of her hands, what's in the spirit of her hands, and what's in the doings of her hands. Give her everything. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own deeds praise her in her gates. A virtuous woman in her house, in her city, in her home, in her environment, around her children, around her husband, around her family. Give her nothing but praise. Don't let nobody tell you, oh, you soft, or you a simp, or don't be like that if you got a virtuous woman. Of all of this, you know, a virtuous woman takes care of her man. Even if her man has it, like her heart and her doing is to take care of her man. Like she's equivalent to one of the attributes of a ride or die chick. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like how they would say, give me a Bonnie and Clyde. Or give me, you know what I mean? Like she is always there for him. She don't mind taking care of him. She don't judge him in a way of the oppressors and how the sheep now sees their own people. She looks at her husband in a way of a higher in his righteousness. So if he's a higher only, not into no idolatry, is very upright, humble, meek, and seek to do all the ways of a higher. Don't cut corners. You know what I'm saying? Don't let his own emotions, because her own emotions doesn't alter her. Well, then that's how she looks at her husband in the way that a higher looks at her husband. So she shall be praised, loved, and honored to the core of the words that's being spoken. Honored, praised, and loved. Not by the fad of the words, but to the core of it. And that's what I seek.